The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda, the action items on it, the approval of minutes, the changes in the approval of the minutes, or the changes that were in the minutes that came to us between the first time we probably downloaded our materials to today, was that attendance for one of the members was reflected incorrectly, and so that has been corrected. Those were the only changes, if you didn't happen to catch that. Our revised board member education is before us, and then we had the contracts requiring board approval. And I would entertain a motion to accept our consent agenda. It's been moved by Tom, seconded by Steve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right. We were emailed the revised minutes, I think. Yeah, but the only change was reflecting the attendance of a member. We had that they were absent, they were actually here. Yeah. It was. Well, we've actually, we've actually, yeah.
I just wanted it on the record. That's it.
Hang on, guys. Hang on a second. If you truly want that reflected in the minutes, someone could move for reconsideration, as long as they've voted yes, or the prevailing side.
Okay.
And then we vote to reconsider them, and then it leaves it open.
Okay.
So
well,
there's been a motion to reconsider. Yeah. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of reconsideration say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. We will reconsider the motion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty. Do you want to go ahead? We have a copy of the minutes here if you'd like a copy of it.
Yeah. So
Danielle,
I saw the revised one with respect to the vote, but I think my concern was really when we had the discussion about the building, there were, well, I raised some issues and I just had wanted them to reflect it somewhat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So even if it's just a summary of the topics I raised, I just think that'd be great.
So what I think we can do, and then Brian, tell me if I'm incorrect, we can ask that the audio tape be reviewed. That section of the minutes can be reviewed. They could be beefed up, and then they could be brought in April, and we could pass them in April. Correct?
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate the consideration.
All right. If
yeah, that's fine.
As long as there's no objection, then that's what we'll do. We'll have these come back to us in April so that they more reflect the board members' comments. All right.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem. See, we can get out of a parliamentary snafu anytime. All right, Jennifer, I don't think we had any items referred by the committee for board decision. New business review information request. I think the only thing that probably came out of our conversation about the experience study is that we continue to have discussions about the numbers that we were talking about, and that we not necessarily wait till the next experience study. Tom, am I saying that right? That it's not a done deal, that we have ongoing conversations about the issues that were raised during that discussion.
Oh, yeah, just to clarify, I thought the next action item time would probably be more than a year away, but maybe that's not right.
Okay, what we'll do is I'll have a conversation with Tom, and if we need to have more, then we can bring it up in the future then. How's that? Alrighty. Is that what you got, Jennifer? Good catch, Jennifer. The number? Go ahead and punch in. There you go.
Now I can. I mean, I think the continuation of the conversation that Tom was mentioned was something that Irene was saying as well, and I was saying as well. I mean, I think there are many of us who think that needs to continue. And maybe the appropriate way to do it is to accelerate the next asset allocation discussion. I think there's some things that could be done at the ARM committee to look at the risks of the funding plan. So, I mean, I think there are many ways that we can do this, but I think, as a board and through the committees, that
we continue that.
We continue that, yeah.
So, Jennifer, you've caught that part of it then. Okay. So then we don't need to have a talk, Tom. We can come back and continue talking. Alrighty. Thank you, Paul. Draft agenda for the next meeting. We know that we're going to add the State Legislative Outlook panel. We might have to buy flowers or something. No. Chocolate to make up for today. Is there anything else on the draft agenda? Jack, do you have anything that you wanted to talk about on the draft agenda? Alrighty, we have several speakers from the public. Alrighty. So Jim Miller, California Federation of Teachers.
Hello. It's my pleasure to speak to the board today. My name is Jim Miller. I'm with the American Federation of Teachers, Local 1931. I teach here at San Diego City College, and our local represents Mesa College, Miramar, also the colleges in the Grossmont-Cuyamaca district. I'm also chair of the California Federation of Teachers Climate Justice Task Force and chair of the San Diego Imperial County's Labor Council Environmental Caucus, and father of a 13-year-old boy. I'm here to talk about divestment from fossil fuels today. CFT supported SB 185, last year. And, some people will say, well, why do teachers care about, divestment and climate justice issues? Well, it's our position in my local and at the statewide now that as teachers, we see our interest as inextricably linked to the communities we serve, to the students we serve. And really fundamentally, when you're a teacher, you've made your bet on the future. And in that spirit, last spring, we passed a resolution that passed overwhelmingly at the entire statewide convention of the California Federation of Teachers, committing CFT to a climate justice agenda. So I just wanted to read a couple paragraphs of that and talk about, what I see to be one of the most important action items. Whereas we are facing a historic environmental crisis that threatens our present and future survival, whereas the science on climate change has only presented us with more and more severe warnings about the dire consequences of continuing on the same course, whereas a short list of the many catastrophic effects of unchecked climate change includes severe drought, increased disease, threatened food systems due to Dust Bowl-like conditions, ocean acidification, increased global conflict over resources, economic collapse, and mass extinction. In short, the overwhelming majority of serious scientists as well as governmental agencies such as NASA and even the U.S. Defense Department are warning of a grim future if we fail to address this issue. Whereas environmental pollution, the water crisis, the climate change all negatively impact workers' lives and health, and the most damaging effects of the climate crisis will disproportionately impact disenfranchised communities with the least resources. Hence, the San Diego Imperial County's Labor Council committed to promoting smart growth, green jobs, real partnerships, and and working with the environmental community in order to work towards environmental and economic justice. Whereas, as a historical force for progressive change and social justice, the labor movement can and must play a powerful role in calling for swift action to address the climate crisis and in producing tangible solutions that will ensure we are strengthening and not weakening our middle class as we transition to a more sustainable economy. And I'll skip to the resolutions. Be it further resolved that CFT insists that we work toward ending all our retirement systems investment in fossil fuels and other commercial enterprises that are contributing to catastrophic climate change. And I think that this is a important and historic statement. This is not one union local. This is the entire statewide federation of the California Federation of Teachers, representing thousands and thousands of employees who have their funds in this retirement system.
Thank you.
And, and I just would end with 2 seconds by saying, as dire as things are on the national front, I think it's even more important that institutions like this begin to lead. Thank you.
Kevin Baser, San Diego Unified School District.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. My name is Kevin Beiser. I'm Vice President of the San Diego Unified Board of Education, representing the San Diego Unified School District. For many years, we've been trying to do right by our children. And that's why I'm here today, to ask you to also do the right thing for the next 2 or 3, 4 generations. I have a long history of fighting for the environment. In fact, in 2014, I was honored to receive the Local Planet Hero Award from Betty Yee. Thank you very much for that. I'll remember that evening very fondly, where there was an amazing ceremony where we honored and recognized the leaders in education and in our community for fighting for the environment and our children. And one of the most important people there was Max Gwynn, a high school student who has created Kids Eco Club, because he realizes that when he grows up, he wants to have a clean planet for him and his family. The San Diego Unified School Board voted unanimously for a resolution asking for you to divest from fossil fuels. Let me just read the therefore be it resolved clauses. Therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Diego Unified School District supports STRS and PERS divestment from fossil fuels. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the San Diego Unified School District strongly urges STRS and PERS to instruct their asset managers to stop any new investment in fossil fuel companies and ensure none of its directly held or commingled assets include holdings in fossil fuel, public equities, or corporate bonds. And each should provide and release quarterly updates available to the public detailing progress made towards full divestment. Now, some of the more specific information that you're aware of, because you probably believe in science and the reality that is facing us for the future. You're all intimately familiar with Senate Bill 185, which called for divestment of coal. The climate crisis is a serious threat to current and future generations here in California and around the world. Almost every government in the world has agreed that any warming above a 2 degrees Celsius rise would be unsafe. We've already raised the temperature 0.87 degrees Celsius, and that has caused more damage than most scientists expected. 1/3 of summer sea ice in the Arctic is gone. The oceans are 26% more acidic. And since warm air holds more water vapor than cold, and likelihood is for both floods and droughts, more extreme climate swings. I ask for your support on behalf of the second largest school district in the state of California to please be a leader on climate action. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Eric Hallgren, UCSD Academic Senate.
Thanks. I'll try to be very brief. The University of California has a shared governance system. And in that context, we have, some sort of say, although it's kind of minor, in how our retirement is invested. And at the prodding of the students, we considered, along with other academic senates, whether to recommend to the regents to divest from all fossil fuels. So last year we had extensive discussions, and we ended up voting 4-1 for this resolution. I won't read the whole thing to you, even though it's short, but it's a whereas, and it's the things you know. But one whereas is that fossil fuel stocks may further fall in value if proven reserves must remain in the ground in order to meet the goals of the Paris Conference. And so I know you take your fiduciary responsibilities very seriously, and you should. And so you want the investment professionals to be making the decisions as to where to put the money the best. But, you know, those guys, they might be really smart, but they aren't physicists. And at UCSD, we have the scientists that figured out the basic facts of global warming and are working on it now. And they know things about the future that these people who are investing your money do not know. And so we had a lot of discussion from these members of the National Academy of Sciences who instructed us, who taught us about how it works, that, you know, we have to leave the carbon in the ground, most of the carbon that's out there, and the inevitable conclusion is that the values of the oil stocks are not what they're selling at. So, you know, that's something that maybe your typical investment counselor doesn't know. So maybe this is something that you can, because you are educated, take a stand. That's what we decided, that we didn't need to choose between being good and being selfish, that we could be both, which is always what we're after. So I just wanted to say one thing, and this is personal. Now is a time in history of our society, our country, and our planet that we shouldn't be standing on the sidelines. We have to take a stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Bill Wellhouse, member, CalSTRS.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the effort to come down here to San Diego. I know it's probably difficult for some of you. I've been a member of STRS for 40 years, and I'm now retired. And I must say that I'm very happy with the service I get, especially from the website. So I compliment you. And I'm speaking for my own self-interest, as obviously everybody is. I want my retirement to be secure, but I also want my future and the future of my son and to be secure as well. And so obviously you know that climate change is a clear and present danger. And I think also I see fossil fuels as a long-term liability. Given the Paris Climate Agreement, the rapid move to renewable energy, and also perhaps the idea of shareholder engagement, it may not be working as well as you thought it would work with the various large fossil fuel companies. So I urge you to follow your own divestment policy and look at this issue very closely, to freeze any new investment in fossil fuels and to divest yourself from Exxon, Chevron, and Shell. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Could you please pronounce your last name for me?
Rainio. Good evening, board members. My name is Joe Wainio. I am an employee of the San Diego Unified School District and a member of CalSTRS. We're living in the age of Trump. The former CEO of ExxonMobil has become our next Secretary of State. The new president's prospective cabinet is full of climate deniers, including his appointee to head the EPA. Many of us in the majority who did not vote for the new president are struggling to figure out how to respond to this new reality. How will you as board members respond? As a CalSTRS member, I'm counting on you to plan wisely so that the pension fund will continue to grow and be a source of stability for many thousands of retirees. But I also hope you will make ethical choices in your investment portfolio. Unfortunately, the fossil fuel industry has a long track record of ruthlessness and corruption in its single-minded pursuit of short-term profits. In the age of Trump, the federal government is signaling a green light to this rogue industry's rapacious practices. We've gotten a glimpse of how the industry deals with obstacles to its business plans in the shameful way it has run roughshod over the rights of indigenous communities in North Dakota. What can be more basic than protecting one's right to clean water? If this is how the industry treats people within our own borders, you can just imagine the kinds of abuses that are happening abroad. Actually, you don't have to imagine it. You can read one of many books that have been written about this subject, such as Private Empire by Steve Cole. It's possible that the fossil fuel industry will experience a short period of increased profitability as Trump attempts to unleash it from any regulations protecting our rights to clean air, water, and a livable climate. But I support the Native American struggle for sovereignty and to maintain a clean water supply, and hope that the fossil fuel industry and its law enforcement allies are unable to mace and club them into submission. More broadly, I hope resistance to the industry's plans will continue to grow, both here and around the world, so that they cannot continue to threaten our children and grandchildren's future. In closing, I hope you will do the right thing by making investments for members like me based on a clear-eyed and forward-looking vision of a sustainable, just economy and a livable planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And Joe is a CalSTRS member.
Where do you teach, Joe?
Robert, and I'm not sure of your last name.
Appleseed.
Oh, thank you.
Very simple.
Because I wasn't sure if that was a J or an R. I'm sorry, I really just couldn't read it. And Robert is from Blue Summit Wealth Management.
Hi, my name is Robert Seed. I'm a financial advisor at Blue Summit Wealth Management. We're a small wealth management firm in La Mesa. A large number of our clients are active CalSTRS employees or retirees, and a large number of them have chosen to divest from fossil fuels in their individual investments. I come and speak on their behalf and represent them. We, as wealth managers, we really believe that money is a symbol. We really believe that what you do with your money shows your values. It demonstrates your values. I was thinking of what to say when I came here, and I just looked up at these boards, and I realized that you guys kind of have the values already in your system. To value the human rights of your employees, members, and the people impacted by your actions. So I think that includes people down the line who are impacted by the way you invest, the companies that your money supports. So I would just like to sort of bring your attention to some of the words here, such as stewardship, being responsible for the environment and things that we value. And I'm sure a lot of the educators in the CalSTRS system, they're preaching this every day. That the environment matters, the natural world matters. So I think to be leaders, it's very pertinent that divestment of fossil fuels takes place. Financially, there's a lot of risk in fossil fuel companies. Stranded assets is a huge issue. There's 66% of known fossil fuels cannot be burned if we're to stay under the 2% threshold. So it makes financial sense to not invest in assets that can't be used, as well as the market forces of alternative energy. They're becoming much cheaper, much more practical. The technology is only going to develop. Companies like Tesla, Solar City are only going to grow and become better investment choices. So I urge you to make the best choice for the future of the teachers, the future of their children, and future generations. Thanks.
Thank you, Robert. We have the following speakers from San Diego 350. Anne-Marie Tipton. Are you guys going to line up in the order in which I read your? Got it. So Anne-Marie Tipton, Rick Bramwell, or Bram Hall, maybe? Kimberly. Thank you. Samachit. Jean Costa and Masada Dizenhouse. Is that it? All righty. And while they're getting ready to speak, we have given them, and they have agreed to 10 minutes as a group. You also have a letter in front of you from Mala and Bruce Wingard. Anytime you're ready.
All right, members of the board, thank you so much for allowing us to be with you today. I'm Anne Marie Tipton. I'm a volunteer of San Diego 350. I'm also a past steering committee member of Fossil Free California, and I'm here to represent, as well as the rest of us, with 6,000 members in San Diego County, many of which are CalSTRS and CalPERS members like myself. I'm actually a state park interpreter for California State Parks, and so I'm a PERS member. I'm also an environmental educator. I'm a climate change interpreter. I was lucky to be able to be a graduate of the National Network of Ocean and Climate Change Interpreters, which is an NSF-funded grant to the New England Aquarium, where we learn about really effective messaging about climate change. And one of the things that we talk about with that is that it's really, really important to talk about our visitors to our facilities and to our students about solutions. And when I started getting involved in being more active in the climate change activism movement, I knew that working with CalPERS and CalSTRS to urge them to divest from fossil fuels is a really tangible solution that we could work on together in our state. And so that's why I got involved. And so I think that CalPERS and CalSTRS has already lost money from our divestment in fossil fuels. And so I just want to urge you to consider this. I know that people have spoken to you about this before, but this is the time to act. And again, like other previous speakers say, this is a time to be leaders, and it's time for California to be a leader. And the impact of the largest public pension funds divesting from fossil fuels would be amazing. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'd like to just make a couple of generalizations that are going to kind of seem obvious about your members. One is they teach facts, not their own opinions. And for that, I'm going to assume that they are not climate change deniers. Also, I'd like to just point out that they care about kids. And from that, I would draw the conclusion that they care about climate change. And so from that, I would think when these members of yours are faced with the children they're teaching when they grow up, and they're asked about your investments, they're going to want to know why, if you do not divest from fossil fuels. And I don't think your members are going to want to say, well, it's because I wanted a few extra dollars each month in my retirement.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Kimberly Tomachek. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My mom is a STRS member. She works in the Poway Unified School District. And I would just add to what everybody before me has said, that it seems increasingly risky to be invested into fossil fuels. The economic pattern seems that it will continue to decline as a viable market strategy. I would just ask that the board invoke its own divestment policy, including the 21 risk factors and long-term financial risk that fossil fuels present, and ask that you immediately freeze any new investments in the fossil fuel industry and divest from CalSTRS and Exxon and Chevron and Shell by 2020. Thank you.
Hi, members of the board. My name is Jean Costa. I'm a retired teacher. I taught for 3 years in Lima, Peru, 1 year in Yakima, Washington, and the last 34 years of my teaching was at Helix High School in La Mesa. And I'm very concerned about the future of the young people that are coming up. We as teachers want the best for them. We don't want to leave them a world in which they cannot live comfortably. And that's what we'll do unless we keep it in the ground. So I'm urging you to do the right thing by our future students and their families and their communities and divest. Thank you.
You don't need to fill out a form. If you just want to, if you want to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Just grab a mic. There you go.
Hi, my name is Masada Dizenhouse. I'm a co-founder of San Diego 350, and we're a local volunteer-led climate action organization. As Anne Marie said, representing over 6,000 people in San Diego County. And I just want to speak to the opportunity for leadership. We've seen a lot of leadership on climate change in California. both in terms of state legislation. We're, a bill passed 2 years ago saying we're going to get to 50% clean energy by 2030. Here in San Diego, there was a climate action plan passed saying we're going to get to 100% clean energy by 2035. My understanding is there may be a bill introduced this year in the state legislature also reaching for 100% clean energy. And California has really led the way on climate change, and I think that you have the opportunity to fit with that pattern and really show leadership that I think other people in the country would follow. So I see this as a solution thing. It's not, it wouldn't be a negative, it would be a positive. Thank you.
Now, was that all your speakers with 350?
I told you we'd be short.
No, you're good, because I wanted to stop the timer and restart it if the gentleman that's next to speak is not speaking as part of, so he's independent from your group.
I'm independent.
Great. Alrighty, so you have 3 minutes.
Okay, hi.
You can tell us who you are and where you're from.
My name's Dennis Selder. I'm a professor at Southwestern College. Oh, that's okay. And I'm also I'm very worried, and especially given the political climate right now, it seems like this has become a political thing as well. But it's something that we can do, right? That's very positive. The fossil fuel industry is running the show right now, and so by divesting from it, it'll give us more freedom as citizens to exercise our rights of citizenship. So I urge everyone to, as a academic, look at the facts, and if you're in agreement with what the evidence seems to suggest, then it seems like it's definitely the right choice to make, to divest of fossil fuels. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Loretta?
The last word, which is,
Thank you. I'm Loretta Toggenberger, United Teachers Los Angeles, retired. And I'm here to thank Jack. He did such a wonderful job at our General Assembly a week ago Friday. It was on a rainy morning. It was the inauguration. Yes, we had some that stayed home to watch the pomp and circumstance, all the things. Yes, they did. And I can't tell you how many said he was so warm in his speech to the people. He presented all the slides, but then he just walked away and talked to the group. They loved it. Thank you, Jack, again. And they come. We're a mixed group. Thank you again. Now, whole new story. Thank you for the birthday cake and the birthday celebration. I'm Irish, and we celebrate 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. And I guess I'll keep on celebrating. Thank you again.
Amen. Amen. So I have a mea culpa as the chair. When I introduced Robert Rodriguez as the new board liaison to the retirement committee for CTA, I mentioned a couple of the other liaisons, and I didn't mention a couple others. So Phyllis Hall, Phyllis is back here in the back. She is the liaison for CTA CCA, and also Denise Bradford, who is the new chair of the CTA retirement committee. So did I get everybody? Now did I remember everybody? Alrighty. And Eric Young is the active person from UTLA, retired, right? Or just UTLA?
Active person.
Active. There you go. Perfect. There you go. There you go.